management team, here today to give my presentation. All of you are upset with this unexpected break, holidays, right? So, holidays once in a week or vacation twice in a year are okay, enjoyable. But so many holidays, that too unexpected, make you feel bored at home, isn't it? So, you miss your friends, your teachers, your classes, your fun in the classroom, your joy in the ground, all these things you people are missing, isn't it? But why does government implement this lockdown? Some of you might be feeling, how good it be if this lockdown is withdrawn and we are at schools, how good it be, how nice it would be. But why does government, why it cares so much about us? So, why is it so much worried about public health? What are its duties? What is government actually? How does this form? So many questions in your mind, isn't it? So, for all these questions, you will be getting answers in our today's class. So, before I start today's class, I would like to tell you a short story. Long ago, there lived a king. He was a very kind person and he used to take very good care of his subjects. The word subject means in political science people. So, he used to take very good care of his people. He used to collect taxes reasonably. He used to conduct courts to resolve the disputes among the people, and sometimes in disguise he used to go into his kingdom to check whether everything is good. Going in disguise means wearing some other dress with a different type of beard so that people cannot recognize him. So, in that way he used to go into the people and check whether everything is good or not, his people are happy or not. So, in this way he used to take very good care of his subjects. But as the days passed on, as any other person, he grew older and older, and one day he died of some health problem. But the people were very unhappy, they were very sad, but actually there was a long tragedy coming in front of him, in front of the people. That is, the son of this king was crowned after his death, and this son was not a good person, he was cruel in nature. What did he do? He collected more and more taxes from the people. He punished poor people who could not pay taxes. He never cared about his subjects. He never conducted any courts. He was not at all. The story ends here. It's a tragic end, of course, but many of you must be thinking, why can't we remove this king from the throne and put somebody into that chair? But children, let me tell you, it's not possible, because that is a government called monarchy. What is the government called? Monarchy. Here the forward mono means single. You might have learnt in your mathematics lesson in algebraic expressions chapter, monomial, binomial, trinomial, isn't it? Mono means single. So, monarchy is the form of government in which the whole power is vested in the hands of a single person. Let us see what are the different types of governments. So, I would like to declare our today's topic also. It is a form of government that is running in India. Our today's topic is democracy in India. So, let us see what are the different types of governments. Please look at the slide. You can see different types of governments on the slide here. First one is anarchy. Anarchy means there are no rulers at all, there are no rules, no regulations, everywhere confusion, people don't know what to do, what not to, what is good, what is not. So, there is confusion all around. So such no existence of government can be called as monarchy. So, the government in our story is monarchy, as I said you just now. So, what happens in this form of government? The whole power lies in the hands of a single person. You can see the crown here, beautiful crown, red colored. And the third type of government is aristocracy. Aristocracy means the power is vested in the hands of few elite people. They may be of noble birth or they may be of higher state in the region, in that particular territory. And the fourth one is democracy, which is our today's topic. The word democracy has originated from Greek language. Demos means people and kratis means rule. So, what does the word literally mean? Rule of the people or rule rule of the people. The entire power in democracy is vested in the hands of people. So, the government in which the power is in the hands of people is called democracy. It sounds good and justified, isn't it? So, let us study more about democracy that is present in our country, the system of government that is prevailing in our country. For the first time, democracy was introduced in the kingdom Athens, and in the year 508 BCE. BCE stands for before common era. While mentioning dates, we usually mention this way. So, democracy has been first used in the country Athens and in the year 508 BCE. So, who is known as father of democracy, who designed this for the first time is Cleisthenes. So, these are some of the details about the origin of democracy. Is democracy similar in all the territories, in all the kingdoms? Is it similar in all the places? No, there are different types of democracy. Let us see what are the different types of democracy. Please look at the slide. The first one being direct democracy. Direct democracy is the form of government in which people vote for the policies directly without any intervention of intermediate people or representatives. So, for this the people need to be educated, the population needs to be less, and there is some homogeneity, some same sort of origin needed in the people. So, it is seen in the country Switzerland. The second one is parliamentary democracy. So, the word parliament means the law making body, legislature. So, this legislature has the supreme power in a type of government, and that democracy is called parliamentary democracy. We will be learning about it in detail because this is something more relevant to us. And the third one is presidential democracy. This is the form of democracy in which president and executive have all the power in the state. That means they can even dismiss the legislature, they can even prevent a law from being passed in such a way. So, president will be the head of the state, he has more powers with his executive. So, such democracy is called presidential democracy. The next one being authoritarian democracy. This means the power is in the hands of some people, as we were discussing about aristocracy. So, here it is democracy, but power is not vested in the hands of all the people. So, some people, elite people who are superior to all others in the territory are given the chance to vote for the lawmaking process. So, in such cases we call it authoritarian democracy. The other principles of democracy are followed, but while lawmaking, only few people, elite people will be having the chance of voting. And the last one being religious democracy. In such democracy, religious law is supreme. That means the impact of religious law is seen in all the lawmaking process in the democracy in such countries. The example being Afghanistan or Pakistan. So, this authoritarian democracy, as we were talking, this is seen in the country Russia. Presidential democracy we can see in America, and parliamentary in Britain. So, direct democracy we have already mentioned that I have already mentioned that it is seen in the country Switzerland. So, these are the different types of democracies that we can see in the world. So, what is when you listen to all these types of democracies, you will be definitely getting a question in your mind, which type is ours? What is Indian democracy? What is the type of Indian democracy? So, which type is it? The answer is, I need to mention three terms here. We describe India as federal, parliamentary democratic and republic. We use three terms here: federal, parliamentary democratic and republic. Let us see in detail what these terms actually mean. The word federal means division of power. It lies on the principle called decentralization of power. That means the power is not vested in one single place, it is distributed everywhere. Let me explain it with your daily life example, with your school's scenario. Okay, your principal has the authority to run the school. All the power is within the principal's hand. But what does the principal do? The principal cannot go to each and every student and find out their well-being, isn't it? So, the principal shares the power with the different class teachers or house masters as we have. So, the principal shares the power with the class teachers. Now, what these class teachers do? They too cannot go every day to every child, all the 40 children and find out what their well-being and all. So, what does the teacher do? The teacher shares the power with quadrant leaders, especially in our schools. So, these quadrant leaders will be having only 3 people to monitor, then the job is easy. If somebody falls sick, somebody has some problem, what does the quadrant leader do? The quadrant leader takes the child to the nurse ma'am, and by the time it is informed to the class teacher. So, by the time the child reaches the nurse, the class teacher will be coming, and within the time the child is examined by the nurse, the principal can reach. See how effective and easier the job has become. So, this is the power of decentralization. So, decentralization helps us in easier proceedings and more effective proceedings. So, that is how the principle works. So, even in our country, the power is not completely in the hands of central government. So, there are different divisions made so that states also can have some powers, and on some issues, whether it be regarding administration or taxation or policy making, so the things are divided. Let us see how the powers are divided. Please look at the screen. Union list is the list which contains the issues of national importance like defense, banking, currency, foreign affairs and communication. So, all these regarding all these items, any policies framed are usually framed by central government. The second list is state list. There are many, here are few important those are mentioned. So, under the state list we have items like police, trade, commerce, agriculture and irrigation. So, these are some of the items about which the policy making is done by the state government. And there is one more list which is common for both. Both the center and state can make laws on certain items. They are education, forest, industries, electricity and labor. To let you understand this more clearly, 3 days ago when there was a meeting with the chief ministers, our honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji told the chief ministers to take their own decisions regarding the withdrawal of lockdown. See, in whichever areas are the number of cases are more, you can plan on your own ease, he said. So, this is how the decentralization works actually. So, the next term that we have, hope you have understood the federal structure. We will be of course discussing about it in detail ahead also. So, the next term that I mentioned is parliamentary democracy. So, as I was telling you in that first types of democracy, this parliamentary democracy is a form in which the legislature is supreme, it has more powers. The people, the voters will be electing some representatives, and those representatives form the legislature, the lawmaking body, we call it parliament. Okay. So, from the parliament they will be selecting one head, and some cabinet members are selected who form the executive. So, at center we have Prime Minister and his council of ministers. So, these people form the executive branch. I mean to say legislature and executive are both merged together. What is the benefit of this? See, if somebody prepares a law and some other person implements the law, there can be some problems. The law making person may not be able to understand what would be the ground level problems and all. So, if both the things are merged, then the law making process will be effective on ground. So, there will be less problems, or sometimes there may not be any problems in implementing those laws. Hope you got my point. So, we will be discussing about this parliament also in detail now. Please look at the slide here. Beautiful buildings you can see. Our Indian parliament is called Bharatiya Sansad. It is called Bharatiya Sansad. So, what does it consist of? It consists of President, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. So, let us discuss in detail about these three. So, President being the nominal head, without his assent no laws can be made. Laws are of course introduced in the houses, they are discussed, they are voted, and finally only with the President's assent it becomes a law, it gets passed. Okay. So, let us see what is Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha is called House of People, as the name suggests, Lok Sabha. Lok means log in Hindi, and Rajya Sabha is the second house. Here these houses, when we speak about these houses, we call the legislature as bicameral legislature. Bi means two, again as we were discussing just now, mono means single and bi means two. So, here Lok Sabha members are elected by the people directly. Let us see the total number of seats in Lok Sabha are 545, out of which 530 are the elected members from states and 13 from the union territories, and 2 are Anglo-Indian members nominated. While coming to Rajya Sabha, we have 245 seats, out of which 250 seats, out of which 12 are nominated by the President, and the remaining are the people elected by the members of Lok Sabha and the members of state legislative assemblies. We have legislatures at the state level also. So, these are the people who are in the legislature who prepare laws for us. Achha, I forgot to write 238 here. So, these are the members of Lok Sabha and these are the members of Rajya Sabha. As I told you, Lok Sabha members are elected directly by the people, and Rajya Sabha members are elected by the representatives, those are elected by the people. So, let us look at a map here which speaks about the various constituencies, that is the political divisions made in the territory. From each political division is called a constituency from which one member will be elected. And how are these divisions made? These divisions are made based on population. That is why we have more number of constituencies in highly populated states and we have less number of constituencies in less populated, sparsely populated states. For example, Uttar Pradesh has 80 constituencies, but Meghalaya has only 2. So, this is how the political units are designed. Now, as people are electing the representatives and they are directly elected, Lok Sabha enjoys more powers than Rajya Sabha. Any financial bill is to be proposed in Lok Sabha and only then it will be sent to Rajya Sabha and then it gets the assent of President. So, in case of any tie or something also, there will be more discussion held in Lok Sabha and their votes are considered. As they are more in number, automatically their preference is given more importance. So, this is how the law making is done. Now, let us try to understand how government works at different levels. Before that, we need to understand 3 important terms regarding the governments. What are they? Government has 3 organs. As we have organs in our body, government also has 3 organs. What are they? One is legislature, another is executive, and the next one is judiciary. Legislature is the law making body, executive is the body that executes or administers the law, and judiciary is the law protecting body. Okay. So, these are the three main organs of the government. So, in parliamentary form, as I was telling you, the legislature is supreme, and the executive, the people who administer the law, who execute the law, derive their power from legislature, that means parliament. And as I was telling you, both are merged in case of parliament. Judiciary in India is given special status. It is independent judiciary. It acts as guardian of the constitution. So, you have learnt in your earlier class about constitution, right? So, it acts as guardian of the constitution, and it also acts as custodian of particularly fundamental rights of the people. In case some decisions are against those fundamental rights, then Supreme Court, the judiciary will be interfering in this. So, that is where we people are safe, as judiciary is there to take care of the fundamental rights as proposed by the constitution. Now, let us see how government works at different levels. Please look at the slide. At central level, we call it union government or central government. Then at state level, we call it state government, and at local level, we call it local government. So, if the locality is urban one, we have municipalities, and if the locality is a rural one, we have panchayats, gram panchayats. These are the three tiers, three stages of government getting operated. Now, as we have just now seen that there are three main organs of government. Let us see how these three organs are in all the three levels. So, legislature, executive and judiciary. Okay. And here we have categories: central government, state government and local government. So, who makes laws at central at the center? As we were discussing, President plus Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. At state, who will be making laws for us? We have seen there is state list separate and central list separate, isn't it? So, who makes laws for us at state level? We have governor. Like president, his assent is compulsory for making laws at state level. We have legislative assembly and we have legislative council. In Telangana, we have both the houses, but in some states the legislature is unicameral. That means they have only legislative assembly. Legislative council will not be there. Only one house will be there at state level in some states. For we Telangana have. So, the members in legislative assembly are called MLAs. You might have definitely heard this word MLA, and the people in legislative council are called MLCs. And at local level we have no such serious law making body, but sometimes we can see the municipal authorities make certain laws as per the situations. You have learned in your books that some gram panchayats make some laws like abolition of liquor or being self-reliant, and they win awards, Nirmal Gram Puraskar and all, like for Ganga Devi Palli, the case study that is given in your books. So, in such cases we can see the laws are made, but only for that particular jurisdiction, and in some cases the laws are made, but usually this at local level only execution is seen. Okay. So, now coming to the executive. Who is the executive at central level? We have already discussed that Prime Minister with his Council of Ministers is called executive at the center. Who is executive at state level? You might have definitely got answer in your mind. Chief Minister plus his cabinet ministers. And who is the executive at local level? In municipalities, there are different people like mayors, municipal commissioner, and so many others who take care of the execution part. And in villages, panchayats, we have sarpanch as the head of that panchayat, and many other posts will be there as per the convenience and as per the population that is present in that village. Now coming to the judiciary. Do we have such structure in judiciary also? Yes, we have judiciary also at all the levels. As I said you, this is the essence of federalism, that means decentralization of power. So how do we have that in judiciary? Please look at the slide. There are beautiful buildings, pictures are given here. At central we have Supreme Court, and in state level we have high courts, and at district level, at local level, we have many types of courts because the cases may be civil or criminal. So we have separate civil courts, district civil courts, and district session courts for criminal cases. This you will be getting in your law and justice case study lesson. So let's revise in shortcut. At central level we have Supreme Court, at state level we have High Court, and here we have different types of courts: district, session court, and civil court. Session court is for criminal cases, dealing criminal cases and punishing them, and civil court is for civil cases. Civil cases means land issues, problems, and property issues, all these things. Okay? So this is how the structure of judiciary is. I hope now you understood the structure clearly about the legislature, executive, and judiciary at all the three levels: central level, state level, and local level. So this is how the power is decentralized. As I told you, the example of your school's case, here also the power is divided so that the people can be taken care of. Their well-being can be easier and their well-being can be made easier and effective. Okay, now let's discuss the most important topic of the day, that is about election, because conducting elections, I mean giving the authority to the people, their casting vote, and this is the basis for all these structures, isn't it? So let's see how elections are conducted. Please look at the slide. This is the Office of Election Commission of India. We call it EC sometimes as shortcut, and you can also see the logo of Election Commission of India here. Our tricolored flag is seen here with 3 dots. And why did I put this picture of this great personality? I will be telling you little later, Mr. T.N. Sheshan. I will tell you why I kept this picture here a little later. Okay. So how are these elections conducted? So India is a vast country, you people know the population is huge, and conducting elections in such a country is not at all an easy task. So and the process should be ratified, and everything should go on in a disciplined way for smooth conduct of elections. So how the elections are conducted, how the process is, let us see on the slide. Please look at the slide. At the center there is election process in India. So we have to start from the nominee. Okay. So we get nominations from the persons belonging to different political parties. Then those nominations are scrutinized by the election commission, and there will be some time given for people to withdraw if they wish to. Sometimes they even withdraw, and then polling dates are decided, polling is announced, polling is conducted smoothly, and then the counting will be done and results will be announced. Announcements of results is the last step of this election process in India. So to conduct these elections, election commission takes lot of pains. So let us once again see what are the functions of this election commission. So, functions of election commission. So, before elections what all it does? It prepares electoral rolls, so in which the names are mentioned, and then revises them. Then it demarcates constituencies. We have seen in the map, right, the constituencies in the map in the slide. So, that demarcations, that divisions are made by the election commission. Then announcement of schedule of elections. Then it receives nominations and scrutinizes them, it verifies them and then finalizes them that okay, this person is eligible to contest in elections. Then it allots symbols for political parties. So, they will be giving some request and it allots symbols for them. Then this is all before the elections. And then during election process, what does the election commission do? It implements code of conduct. Okay, code of conduct it implements and it conducts polling. Then it checks electoral malpractices. When the elections are going on, it just tries to check that there will not be any malpractices conducted in the polling booths. And after elections, what does it do? It counts the votes and declares the results of the elections. So, these are all the administrative functions of the election commission. There are other two functions which are also important. One is advisory function, that means it advises the president and governors to disqualify the members who are not up to the who do not satisfy this code of conduct or the rules that are framed by the election commission. And the other duty is quasi judicial too, that means it resolves the disputes between political parties if they have any. As this is the function of judiciary, we call it quasi judicial function, and it also advises, that is why we call it that function, that particular function as advisory function. So, administrative functions, advisory function and quasi judicial function. Children, here to remember all these in line is a bit difficult, but let me tell you, you can create images in your mind and you can frame some sequence so that you can remember them well. You can read the same steps, bring them to your mind as if the elections are being conducted in your classroom and your friends are giving the nominations for getting elected as class monitor, then you will be getting some picture in your mind. Okay? So, link those pictures in the form of story and then you will be able to remember all these steps well. So, this is one of the technique which I would like to share with you. This will be useful for you particularly when you prepare for examinations. Okay. Let us see now what is the code of conduct. I have mentioned now the election commission takes care of code of conduct. Code of conduct is for both voters and for the contestants. Let us see some of the important principles that are present in code of conduct. No voter shall cast vote with others' identity. It will not be allowed, and no rallies and picketing in residential areas without prior permission, and no influence by giving cash, no personal comment targeting caste or religion, no hoisting party flags, tying banners, writing on the walls, no campaigning before or after permitted hours. There are some timings that are specified for campaigning, so those should be strictly followed. These are some of the important points regarding the code of conduct of elections. But up to what extent are these strictly followed? There were times when all these principles were not strictly followed and much was not done to see that they are practiced. But after T.N. Sheshan came to the scene, after he became the election commissioner, he brought sea change in the election commission by bringing certain reforms. That is the reason I pasted the picture in the slide, his picture in the slide, because he brought a revolutionary change in election commission. So, he took care of the code of conduct that it is strictly implemented. He brought so many reforms. We call those reforms as electoral reforms. Let us see some of the important points that are introduced by T.N. Sheshan in the form of electoral reforms. Okay? So, introduction of voter IDs. This was not an easier task because the population is huge, but they could manage it, and strict implementation of election code of conduct. All these were made strict, as I was telling you just now. This gentleman has made it more strong. Set expenditure limits for candidates. Then prohibition of distribution of liquor or money, prohibition of bribing, implementation of law in election process, that means equality, all people are equal, and autonomous status to Election Commission of India, prohibition of the loudspeakers without prior permission, and prohibiting demanding votes based on caste. So, sometimes people are flown away in such things. So, prohibition of use of religious place for election campaigns. So, religious places are also not to be used. So, these are some of the reforms introduced by Mr. T. N. Sheshan to make the elections more free and fair elections. So, which is very important, particularly in a democracy. So, after listening to all these things, I am sure you will be getting a question in your mind. So, what happens inside the polling booth? As you people are kids, you will never go inside the polling booth. I am sure you will be interested to know what happens there. And here is a picture that describes about those things. Let us see the picture and study it. The person enters here and he checks his name and puts signature with assistant presiding officer. Then he goes to the second polling officer, where he verifies his name and photograph, and then he gets ink on his finger. Then the person will be going into voting compartment. There the person presses the button and selects the candidate, and then he will be checking the slip that generates in the VVPAT, and he assures that it is the vote is casted properly. Then he exits. All the process is taken care of by the presiding officer of that particular polling booth. So, this is how the polling process is done. So, now we have understood what a democracy is and the importance of elections in democracy. So, please look at the slide here, the importance of free and fair elections. When elections are conducted, it should be taken care that there is no manipulation at all. See the three pictures here. Here you can see some bad people are taking away the boxes, and in the second picture you can see the people are tempted to vote as they are given some materials, and the third picture you can see the politicians are trying to bribe the voters by giving them money. So, these are the things that must be arrested, and of course, they are trying their best with these electoral reforms also, but we as voters need to be more vigilant about all these things. The vote we are casting should be our real choice, our wise choice about the person who is going to become our representative for the next 5 years. And the next important point about democracy is equality and inclusiveness. Children, equality is really very important in a democracy, because there were days when women were not allowed to vote. There were days when people who did not pay taxes were not allowed to vote. There were days when people who belonged to different race, they were not allowed to vote. You can see the black person being denied a vote here. I mean the person is not allowed to vote. And in fourth picture you can see the people who are educated only were voting. So, these were the situations for centuries together. Many people struggled a lot to bring the idea of universal adult franchise. Okay. So, the term is really necessary for all of us to understand. Universal adult franchise. That means all the persons who attain 18 years of age will be permitted to vote, irrespective of caste, creed, gender, religion, race, etc. Okay. So, this is the essence of equality and even inclusiveness. So, this is how democracy makes sure that every person is given the importance. We were discussing in the story that we call the people being ruled as subjects, but in democracy we call the people being ruled as citizens, because they are not just being ruled, they are the part of the system, they are the part of the government. We as we can't go directly and rule, our representatives will be ruling us. The original power, the supreme power is in the hands of the people. That is what we need to understand. And okay, things are good, we got independence, now ours is democratic country, everything is set, okay. No, democracy is an ever evolving idea. Please look at the slide here. Democracy is an ever evolving idea. It changes its structure all the time to better itself and for the betterment of the people. See, the most important points regarding the democracy in practical are participation first. That means people need to participate in policy making. How can they participate? Before the policies are made, there should be extensive discussions regarding the policies, and people should come forward and express their opinions. Even they should be very vigilant even about their implementation also. Otherwise, policies are there, but implementation part of it is not in a proper way. Okay. So, participation of people is very important in the process of policy making as well as the implementation of the policies. The second point is expression. So, expression means saying what they wish to, saying what they want, saying what they need. So, here many times in some countries maybe, okay, people are not given that freedom, they are not allowed to express what they need. So, this is nothing but curbing their civil liberty. So, this freedom of expression, as you can see, is very important right here. So, expression is also an important concept to keep democracy alive and to bring some change in the society, the needed change. And the next one is civil liberty. As we were discussing now, the people should be given freedom to form associations to discuss certain policies in order to make them better, and they should have the awareness of coming together and forming associations to make the laws better, or to see that the laws are better implemented, whatever are there for their benefits. And the next important point is the ideas of minorities. Many times the majoritarian view is taken into consideration and the ideas of minorities are not taken care of. So, that should not happen. As we call it democracy, the opinion of every particular individual are to be given importance. In democracy, sometimes there is a strange situation where the people are against democracy, saying that, oh, this democracy will not suit our people, they should be kept under a monarch who is very strict, only that will work for this kind of people. No. Dear children, if you hear such negative comments from anybody, please try to stop them saying such things, saying that we need to develop the ideology of imbibing democracy within ourselves. We are never supposed to speak such things which are against the essence of democracy. And the ideas of minorities are also to be given due respect, they must be treated with respect. And then complaints are the testimonies. Yes, you have heard it rightly. If people are complaining something about the democracy, it means that the democracy is alive, it is happening there. They are able to open their mouths and say something just because they have got freedom. So, here if there is some complaint about the working of democracy, that itself is the testimony that the democracy is working well there. So, these are the few important ideas about the democracy. Now, let us see one more map here on the slide. Children, please look at the first and second portion of these maps. I mean, those are world maps. The first one is describing the countries in 1900 to 1950. You can see the red shaded color is very less in the world map, particularly in American regions we can see this. So, in that period only these countries were having democracy, they were the democratic countries. But by 2011 you can see, it is very happy to see that the yellow shade is more. Even most of the Asian countries and European countries and some of the African countries are also democratic. Then what about the countries which are not colored here? Some are under constitutional monarchies and some are under absolute monarchies. Yes, dear children, it is sad to see that still on the globe we have the monarchy being followed. So, we should all really try to understand how important democracy is and how lucky we are to be in a democratic country like this. So, this is how we should try to understand the essence of democracy, the importance of this government. Okay. Now, let us revise the topic, what all we have learnt today. We have learnt what are the different types of democracy. They are anarchy, the form without government; monarchy, the single ruler; aristocracy, power is in the hands of few; and democracy, power is in the hands of the people. Then we have also learnt about different types of democracy, isn't it? Direct democracy, in which people vote directly; parliamentary, in which the legislature is supreme; presidential, in which the president is the real head, he has more powers; and authoritarian democracy, in which only elite people get the opportunity of voting for policies; and then religious democracy, in which religious law plays the major role. We have also learnt about the federal structure, the division of power among the states and unions, and the lists, the topics that are there in the union list, for which nation will be making, central government will be making the laws, and the items in state list for which the states will be making the laws, the concurrent list for which union and state both will be making the laws. And then we have tried to understand how the parliament works, that means what the parliament is, and in India how this parliament works. We have understood that the voters will be selecting the people for legislature, and once they are selected, they are invited by the president and they form the government and the executive. That means the executive is derived from the legislature. They are merged together to see that the laws are made and implemented properly for the people, and to check them the judiciary is given topmost importance. Okay. We have also tried to understand what Parliament of India is. The word parliament stands for Supreme Legislature, and the Parliament of India comprises of President, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Okay, when do these houses meet? This is one concept which I missed to tell you. So, let us see once how many times these people sit together, they meet to frame policies for us. Okay, they meet thrice in an year. Indian legislature meets thrice in an year. One is budget session and another is monsoon session, and another the third one is winter session. Children, I hope that you people are implementing the ideas that I told you. Here I wish to repeat the idea of BMW. What's it? BMW is the name of the car, the costly car which children usually imagine and feel happy. Okay, so B, budget session, monsoon session and winter session. These are the three sessions that are conducted in Indian Parliament. So, this is from the month January or February to May, and this is from July to September, and this is from either November or in the month of December. So, this is the time when these sessions are conducted. Sometimes we can get them live on Doordarshan and other channels. So, Lok Sabha live session, I request you all to see how the proceedings happen, and you might have seen them also in our youth parliament sessions, competitions which are conducted in our schools. Okay. So, next we have studied what constituencies are, the political units from where legislature, people for legislatures are elected directly by the people, and then we have studied how government works at different levels. I have also given you the idea of tabulating the data, legislature, executive and judiciary, how are they at central level, how are they at state level, and how are they at local level. And then we have tried to understand about the structure of courts also. We have seen that the Supreme Court is at the apex top, and then we have high courts in states, and we have district civil courts and sessions courts. For criminal and for criminal cases we have session courts, and for civil cases we have civil courts. And then we spoke about the process of elections and the Election Commission of India. We have seen its logo, we have seen the Office of Election Commission of India, and we also studied about the electoral reforms brought by Mr. T.N. Sheshan. So, we tried to understand various steps in election process. So, the nominee, then scrutiny, then withdrawal, time for withdrawal, then polling, counting, and announcement and declaration of the results. So, these are the different steps. We tried to understand the elections code of conduct also, the conduct that is designed for voters as well as for contestants. Here the political parties get registered with this election commission to participate in elections. As we have seen in the functions of the election commission, their logos are also fixed by them. So, there are different parties in state level and in national level. Then we have seen the process inside the polling booth, how the person goes and puts his vote in VVPAT, and then we try to understand the importance of free and fair elections. Then the principle of equality and inclusiveness, how important it is for democracy, we just try to analyze, and how the democracy evolves itself to become a better one for the people, that also we try to understand. And we have also seen the expansion of democracy around the whole world, how different countries within just a century try to convert themselves into democracies. And then hope you all have understood the essence, the meaning of democracy and the working of democracy, particularly how it goes on in our country. Now, what is your takeaway from today's class? See, democracy, I am speaking about democracy, you have understood, but you will be getting right to vote only after attaining 18 years of age. So, what can you do? Yes, you can try to educate your parents, your family members, the society around you, I mean your neighbors and all, you just try to request them to cast their vote wisely. So, until the time you attain the age of 18 years, try to be aware of the political happenings around you. It is not just you get 18 years and you get right to vote. Why did they keep this margin of 18 years? Because once a person attains 18 years of age, that person is expected to behave in a mature way. The person should become more understandable. So, only if you are able to get the idea of democracy, only if you are able to feel the responsibility that you are a part of this government, the supreme power is in your hand, only if you are able to express that your view in policy making and implementing. So, then you will be definitely called the citizen of India. Wishing you all the best. I conclude here. It is time for you to take project. Highlight the ideals of democracy in India in your own words. First one is highlight the ideals of democracy in India in your own words. The ideals of democracy, as we were discussing now, equality, inclusiveness, and so what all you have learned in the class. So, try to highlight them in your own words, and then write an essay on the Parliament of India. Write an essay on the Parliament of India. I thank Telangana Tribal Welfare Residential Educational Association and Telangana Social Welfare Residential Education Institution, our beloved Secretary Sir, for giving us this valuable opportunity of being with the children in this corona crisis time. I thank TSAT people for their patient recording and telecast. I thank all the viewers for being with me, and I thank Telangana State Government for giving us teachers this valuable opportunity. Thank you everybody.